A lot to get to on a Friday here on the 49ers Report by Chat Sports. I am Chase Sr. I hope all of you are getting set to have a great weekend. Massive matchup on Sunday between the 49ers and the Seahawks. And this is a big reason why I'm bringing you a video from the house, because there is so much to get to in the lead up to that game with so many divisional implications. Here's what we have coming up today. 49ers injury report for Sunday. George Kittle's status seems to be up in the air. Josh Norman doubtful to play. Elijah Mitchell could miss his second consecutive game. And did Tom Brady, after that divorce with the New England Patriots, want to play for Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers? According to a new book from Seth Wickersham of ESPN, it appeared as though 49ers could have had their hands on Tom Brady. We'll get into all of that coming up, but first, this is why you subscribe. Whether we're at the Chat Sports Studios or at home, we're bringing you the latest 49ers news, 49ers rumors, breaking news within the hour of that news breaking, live shows every Tuesday, 7 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Pacific, and watch parties on game day. We'll be doing another one on Sunday for this massive game against the Seahawks, so make sure you hit that red subscribe button down below to support the biggest, best, largest 49ers news and rumors channel right here on YouTube. Let's get to the 49ers injury report. So Kyle Shanahan was on KNBR this morning. I'm recording this about 11:30 a.m. on Friday. He was asked about George Kittle and if he's going to play on Sunday against the Seahawks. Shanahan said, quote, "I hope so. It's not guaranteed. We were hoping it would heal a little more. As for what it is, a calf injury that has been bugging and bothering George Kittle throughout the week. It was bothering him during the walkthrough on Thursday, so what the 49ers decided to do, shut him down for the day, and he could be a game-time decision, which is actually pretty big news for this 49ers offense going into Sunday. As of yesterday, he was scheduled to speak with the media on Friday. That's usually a good sign because the organization doesn't often allow inactive players to speak to the media leading up to game day. As for what John Lynch said about George Kittle on Thursday, quote, "He's got a calf that's a little tight and he's working through that, but George usually rings the bell and shows up, and you can't take that for granted. We're hopeful that we have him, and we certainly need him. He's a tremendous player, as we saw the other night, and we have seen that so many times." There is no question that the Niners really need George Kittle on the field for a couple of reasons. He's one of the best dual threat tight ends in the league. In the run game, he can be just so dominant. And obviously, he is a huge weapon offensively in the pass game. And this is a 49ers offense that has to get the run game going because everything is kind of predicated on that outside zone running scheme in Kyle Shanahan's offense. And they've really struggled through the air as well as on the ground. This is an offense that has been somewhat spotty, somewhat inconsistent. We've talked here on the channel about this offense getting off to slow and sluggish starts the last 2 weeks against the Eagles as well as against the Packers, and you can't get off to these slow starts against legitimate teams like the Seattle Seahawks and force your way into a hole where you have to come out of that and put together a comeback effort like you had to do again on Sunday night against the Green Bay Packers when you went down 17-0 in the early going. So George Kittle, obviously a huge component in getting the ground game going, but also being a weapon through the air. So far through 3 games, he's been pretty solid. The number's somewhat down, 15 catches for 187 yards through 3 games, but on Sunday night, with George Kittle picking up so many yards after the catch in some big situations, being that physical specimen on the field, you can utilize him in a variety of ways. Inline tight end, you can put him out wide as a wide receiver, and then he is just such a good blocker as you try to get that ground game going. And when you look at some of the matchups that you can exploit going up against the Seattle Seahawks defense that under Pete Carroll used to be the forte with the Legion of Boom, but the last couple of years has been down, you can utilize George Kittle in the pass game to exploit a mismatch going up against a safety in Jamal Adams, who is great in the box, great compiling 9 sacks last year, getting after the quarterback as a blitzer, but you can take advantage of him when he drops back in pass coverage. And I would go with George Kittle against Jamal Adams 7 days a week, trying to target that matchup. And hopefully the Niners will be able to do that on Sunday. As for Elijah Mitchell, that shoulder injury continues to be troublesome. He was seen on Thursday on the practice field wearing a blue non-contact jersey, which makes his return a possibility, although as of this recording, it seems as though Elijah Mitchell playing on Sunday is doubtful. If he can't play, that would mean that Trey Sermon, the rookie third-round pick out of Ohio State, is going to get his second consecutive start. Didn't really do much in his first start against the Packers. Kyle Shanahan certainly looking for more of Trey Sermon, given where they drafted him. Now to Josh Norman. On Sunday in that first half, he took a helmet right to the chest, bruised lungs, spent the night in the hospital, was coughing up blood. We highlighted that and talked about it on Monday here on the channel. Kyle Shanahan said, quote, "Pretty doubtful to play for Josh Norman. This is a secondary that is very thin, and if Norman cannot go, Dre Kirkpatrick, who the Niners signed a couple weeks ago, could start. He has not yet played for San Francisco this year." The Seahawks, they're dealing with some injuries of themselves. They do have some injury woes too. Wideout Tyler Lockett, running back Rashad Penny, tackle Brandon Shell did not participate in practice on Thursday, which puts their availability for Sunday in question too. So both teams dealing with some injury issues, both teams in need of a win. Niners go down at home on Sunday Night Football. Jimmy Garoppolo leads them back late. As we know, Aaron Rodgers, with 37 seconds left on the clock, puts the Packers in a position to kick a game-winning field goal as the buzzer expires. Niners go down at the horn, and the Seattle Seahawks, they're losers of 2 straight, go down as the Tennessee Titans 2 weeks ago mount a big comeback in Seattle. Then they go on the road and fall to the Minnesota Vikings. You go down 3 straight times in this gauntlet of a division. It puts you back in a division where every single week is crucial. So with that, I do want to ask you this. Who you got for Sunday? Get those predictions in the comment section down below. Type SEA for the Seahawks. Type SF for the Niners. My keys for this game before we get to Tom Brady potentially wanting to join up and join forces with Kyle Shanahan. Got to start offensively. Limit the big plays against Russell Wilson. Defensive line has to get home, and you got to test the Seahawks secondary downfield. Okay, to Tom Brady and this conversation about him wanting to play for the 49ers. So Seth Wickersham of ESPN has come out with a new book. It's titled, "It's Better to Be Feared, the New England Patriots Dynasty and the Pursuit of Greatness." And within that book, Wickersham talked about obviously Brady's divorce with the Patriots, his relationship with Robert Kraft, as well as Bill Belichick. It looked as though, and shed some light on Bill Belichick not being the most liked figure within that organization, but also talked about Brady wanting to go back to his hometown area of Northern California to play with San Francisco. So some of this is known, some of it's not. So let's highlight this and break it down for you and lay the foundation for everything that's going on with these conversations. The 49ers did hold internal discussions shortly after their Super Bowl loss to the Kansas City Chiefs in February of 2020 to consider the possibility of signing Tom Brady to replace Jimmy Garoppolo. Some of that has already been known. Kyle Shanahan at the time had informed Jimmy Garoppolo, Tom Brady's former teammate and a former backup short-term starter with the New England Patriots, that at the time the Niners had meetings to discuss Brady, who of course is one of the greatest quarterbacks, probably the greatest quarterback to play all time, as he has put together 7 Super Bowls. And Kyle Shanahan had said this in June of 2020. When you have to talk to Jimmy about one of the best quarterbacks of all time being available, I know Jimmy has a goal to be that. Ultimately, what did the Niners do? They decided against pursuing Brady to replace Garoppolo. Garoppolo is 15 years younger. There were questions at the time about how much Brady had left in the tank, because that final season in New England wasn't great from a statistical perspective. Some people thought that Brady's arm strength was down. I thought it was more a product of that offense just being very bad with very, very few elite skill position players at wide receiver and at tight end. And that offense over time had become somewhat stale. But reportedly, there would have been no challenge for the Niners to sign Brady as a free agent if San Francisco had decided to move in that direction. Shortly after the Niners Super Bowl loss to KC, Brady called his former teammate Wes Welker, who's currently the wide receivers coach for the 49ers, and Brady had told Welker that if the 49ers were interested, he would finish his career in the Bay Area after 2 decades and 6 Super Bowl titles with the Patriots. And according to the book, Brady wrote down about 20 or so elements that he desired from the new team that he would go to. His contract demands would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 years, $50 million. Jimmy Garoppolo is making in the mid-20s of millions in dollars, so that's somewhat reasonable for what you're getting back in Tom Brady. And Brady had told Welker that if the Niners wanted him, there would be, quote, no free agency tour, no bidding war, full stop. He would end his career where his love of football began, in scarlet and gold, allowing his parents to drive to his games for the first time since the 1990s. And it's been well documented over time that Tom Brady, his favorite player, was Joe Montana, Joe Cool, who obviously is probably the second best quarterback of all time behind Tom Brady if you're looking at just Super Bowl rings and overall success. Brady grew up in San Mateo as a fan of the 49ers. His parents still live in the area. A source confirmed to NBC Sports Bay Area that the Niners were made fully aware of Brady's preference to go to San Francisco, and this is reported in the book that the organization was initially skeptical. But Shanahan, I think after the 2019 season, if I get this correctly, asked all of his offensive assistant coaches to watch every single Brady throw from the 2019 season, and Shanahan wanted them to provide their evaluations. Shanahan did the same thing while on vacation with his family in Cabo. And according to Wickersham's book, the 49ers coaches merely liked Brady's film and concluded that Brady was only marginally better than Garoppolo at that stage of their respective careers. What ended up happening? San Francisco did not pursue the hometown kid of Tom Brady. Brady last year had a great year. The Bucs won the Super Bowl, Brady's 7th of his illustrious career. The Bucs went on a tear to end the season, 8 consecutive wins in the regular season as well as the playoffs. And Brady is now still at the age of 44 looking really, really good. He said recently he could play until 50. And what the Niners have done, they obviously have questions about Garoppolo. They thought about pursuing Tom Brady this past offseason. They drafted his future replacement in Trey Lance, and it looks as though Lance is going to be the future quarterback and obviously not Tom Brady. So when you look at the grand scheme of things, the organization, while they like what Garoppolo brings to the table as a leader and as a quarterback, he is somewhat limited from a dynamic athletic standpoint. They've had some concerns about his health. They have some concerns about him being the long-term starter. If they had no concerns about Garoppolo at all, do you think the Niners are moving up to number 3 to draft Trey Lance? The simple answer is no. So before I get out of here, I want to pose this question because I think all of this is really, really fascinating. Do you think the Niners made a mistake not pursuing Tom Brady? Type M for mistake, type R for they made the right choice. Get those votes in and get those thoughts in the comment section down below, and feel free to sound off. I'll circle back to the comment section to see what all of you say, and also subscribe to the channel. We'll be doing a watch party for Seahawks 49ers on Sunday. We'll be going live about 15 minutes before kickoff, live play-by-play, scoreboard, stats, analysis. I'll be taking your questions. We'll be drinking some beers, ripping some shots, having a party like we do every game day. Hit that subscribe button and join us, and as always, thanks for making the 49ers Report a part of your day, and I hope you have a great weekend.